Back when COVID started, I started to delve into a little bit of my ancestry. Then George Floyd happened, and I kind of jumped all in.
You may recognize veteran Brian Daniels from our Morning Blend as the co-founder and owner of Empower Lansing, a boxing gym on Michigan Avenue. Now, Daniels is taking on another venture, discovering and sharing the story of his great-great-grandfather, Alexander Pearson, a man he didn't know about until he signed up for Ancestry.com earlier this year.
I found out that my great-great-grandfather was born a slave in North Carolina, escaped slavery, joined the 40th Colored Infantry in Tennessee, and then eventually became a landowner just outside of Johnson City.
Daniels was able to find a research paper about his great-great-grandfather. Many descendants of enslaved people aren't as fortunate. Michigan State professor Walter Hawthorne is one of 3 directors of enslaved.org, a website that publishes information about people who were enslaved.
The 1870 census was the first census to mention Black Americans by name. I myself can do my own history by family history by using genealogical sources or using census sources and other sorts of materials. But African Americans faced this block in 1870.
Also, during the Civil War, a lot of places were burned. Like in North Carolina, for instance, a lot of the slave registers are actually burned down in 1865. So there just is no record.
So what we've discovered really over the course of the last couple of decades is that there is an incredible amount of information out there about individuals who were enslaved. The problem that we face is that this information tends to be scattered around the Atlantic and also often in fragmentary form. That is, that you might just have a line in a census or an advertisement that somebody who was enslaved has run away. So one of the great hopes of this project is that by compiling this fragmentary data that's really in archives and libraries and private collections scattered across North America and elsewhere, by compiling this and making it machine readable, African Americans can have another tool that they can use to do their own family research.
Daniels was intrigued by the information he found and set out on a pilgrimage to find his great-great-grandfather's grave, as well as the remnants of the Buffalo Colored School, a school opened by his great-aunt Lydia, Pearson's daughter, in 1930.
My girlfriend Maggie and I drove down to Johnson City, and we got in contact with the people who own the land. And a wonderful guy named Seth let me onto his property to see Alexander's grave and his son Walter, who's actually buried next to him. We found the school and we carried a 100-pound stone out of the woods because I just felt, I guess, compelled. I'd come this far, I'd worked this hard to find it, and I wanted my family to be able to see it. We were, I just felt, I guess, in the presence of Alexander in that moment. We finished our trip by going to Silver Creek Plantation in North Carolina, where Alexander was born, and which is now an upscale golf course. And they were telling me that they actually intend to remove the term plantation from the golf course because they don't want to make people feel bad. I'm writing a book called Chasing Alexander, which is going to be Alexander's story, but it's also about essentially my journey in the time that we're in as a Black American, trying to understand myself better, understand the nation better, and then seeing the parallels between the life Alexander was living and where we're at now. I think that we still see, I guess, residual laws from the Jim Crow era. We still have the trauma from the Jim Crow era, and I think that until we are able to work on and move past that, we can't really move forward as a nation. I also think that until we understand our past and where we come from and who we come from, we can't really understand ourselves completely.
For more information on Daniel's pilgrimage, as well as information on how you can contribute to and utilize enslaved.org, go to fox47news.com. For Fox 47 News, Lauren Shields.